Hey everyone, welcome to Build Series in New York City. I'm Laura Muraski from HuffPost with our next guests. Asleep at the Wheel formed in 1970 and went on to land 20 songs on the Billboard Country Single Charts and score 10 Grammy Awards. On September 14th, the country western swing group will release New Roots, their first new material in over a decade. Here to talk about it and more is Ray Benson and Katie Shore from Asleep at the Wheel.
Hello.
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 Not too shabby, 10 Grammy Awards, damn.
Yeah, but who's counting?
But who's counting, right? All right, and lots of nominations, and we're inching on 50 years almost with you as the lead.
Yeah, Katie's held up pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good, yeah.
Katie's a newcomer to the band, but we're so glad to have you here, and you sing a few songs and wrote a couple of songs on this new album, so it's really exciting.
Yeah.
You guys are very far from being asleep at the wheel, right, at this point, so.
Rim shot.
Yeah.
We have our own coffee.
Sure, you've heard that
coffee
before.
line. Awake.
No,
at
it's
the
been
wheel.
great. You know, I started the band, like say 48 years ago, and then, but all over the years, you know, people have come and gone, and I've kept it going. I like to liken myself to Mick Fleetwood in keeping a band together.
Yes.
With great things. And Katie joined about almost 4 or 5 years ago, and half the band basically is 30 years old or younger, and then me, it was 30 years or younger, you know. And
Yeah, of course.
But it's wonderful because it keeps this kind of music going here. Where, you know, Western swing from Texas is something. It's a kind of music that started, you know, in the 20s, and so here we are. In what year is it? Doing it again.
2018.
20s.
It's unreal. I mean, for you, I mean, what keeps you going? I mean, you could have easily said, you know, I'm going to throw in the towel. You know, iterations of the band, you know, a genre that may not get played on the radio all the time.
Well, you know, my best pal is Willie Nelson, and so I just followed him. And, you know, what would Willie do, as we like to say? And that's the point. It's just playing music, and that's our lifeblood, you know. And so in some of the bad times, in between record deals, in between hits, in between trends and everything, playing the music was what it was all about. And we play everything from Texas dance halls to the Lincoln Center, you know. So it's I wouldn't want to do anything but play music, so why not? You know?
For you, Katie, I mean, what attracted you to join this group a few years back?
Well, I am the only native Texan in the band, believe it or not, and it's really hard to play the fiddle growing up and not know who Asleep at the Wheel is. So as a kid, I was going to the shows and falling asleep when I was really little.
We do that, you know.
I came from, yeah. My granddad played the fiddle, and he loved it, so we grew up listening to Asleep at the Wheel and all the Western swing and old country and big band as well, and I don't know, it was kind of great. I had known a lot of the people that had been in the wheel before, and some of them were teachers of mine. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't know, I was really excited when I got the phone call one day to be in the band.
Amazing.
You know, I had a little bar in Austin for a while, and I looked at, there was a YouTube of Katie playing fiddle and singing, and I went, who is that? And that's how we met up, although we do travel in the same circles.
Right. And you're like, I got to get her in this group. And here we are with a new album. And I like one of the songs, really like one of the songs that you wrote and sing on called Weary Rambler.
Oh,
and that's I think, one of my favorite songs on the record. It doesn't come out till September, so you got to wait and hear. But I know you've been throwing out some of the piecemeal. What can you tell us about that song, and what was it like to contribute to the album?
Oh, man, it was really special. I wrote that song originally with a different, I had a friend's life story kind of in mind for that. But then I started to think about Ray, and we have this great dynamic, you know, in our singing and our music together. And originally I was thinking maybe it could be a duet, but and when it came to recording, the process was such a long one, you know, and we really threw a lot of things against the wall to see what would stick. And this version that is on the record is what we ended up liking the most.
Yeah, and it fits the talents of the band too.
Yeah.
You know, we have been known as a Western swing band, which is a kind of music that's very, very stylized, but we do everything. And the folks in the band, and that song is one of the ones that go, oh, that's a little different from Asleep at the Wheel. Well, not really, because it's just the kind of music that we're able to play.
Yeah. One of my favorite acts actually makes an appearance on this album, the Avett Brothers.
Oh, yeah.
Seth and Scott. And I know you've played with them before, these guys.
Yeah, we recorded with them, and we did Austin City Limits, the television show with them. They're good pals of ours, and Seth sent me this song, and It's about Willie Nelson, called Willie, who got there first, and because Willie was one of the greatest songwriters ever, and it's all about writing songs and how Willie got. So he sent me the song just because we're pals, and I went, man, this is really special. Let's record it. And so Seth and Scott said, yeah, and then we got Willie's sister, Bobby, 86-year-old Bobby Nelson, played piano on it, and Mickey Raphael, the harmonica player for Willie, played on it because the song's all about Willie. I met Willie in 1971, and we've been pals ever since. And he's been, what can I say about Willie Nelson? It hasn't been said except that he's been the best pal we ever had, you know.
That's amazing. I understand he's the one who really got you to move to Austin, right? Because you grew up in Philly.
Well, we were out in California, but I grew up, and the band started in West Virginia. I know this makes no sense, but that's our story, and we're sticking to it. Yeah, and I was in California, and we got a record deal. We hung out back there with our pals were Huey Lewis and Commander Cody and Dan Hicks and the Hot Licks, and Willie, you know, heard us with their first record and said, "Who's this weird name, long-haired band that plays Western music?" And no, he's been the best pal we ever had.
What what advice has he given you, or what kind of like friendship did you have you had over the years? Like any crazy stories, like calling each other up at like, you know, different times and in your life and everything?
Oh yeah. There's a great New York story about Willie.
Yeah.
We were playing the Lone Star cafe down there downtown one time, and Willie on 13th, and Willie had been honored at some big deal uptown. And so he had, believe it or not, he had on a tuxedo. And he had these guys, so they came down to the Lone Star, which is, some of you have been there, was very small, really. And they pulled up in a limo, and him and his entourage came up, and they walked down the thing, and they walked upstairs, and they walked down, and then found out, oh, there's no seats. Well, and he said, the only safe place is on stage. So he came on stage, and we sang a bunch of songs, and he said, I got to get out of here. And as he walked out, there was a homeless guy panhandling on the street there with a guitar case and a guitar singing songs. And Willie sat down, grabbed a guitar, sang with him, and threw $100 in a case and left.
Oh my goodness, love it!
That's Willie Nelson.
That's him in the nutshell, I guess, right? Yeah. Amazing.
He'll play for anybody, anywhere, because he loves to do it, and he is also the most generous guy you'd ever seen.
That's awesome. You've played with so many people through the years, right? I mean, Bob Dylan, George Strait.
We just played 3 shows with George a few weeks ago, and. Yeah, we've been lucky. You know, people like our music and don't mind us opening shows sometimes. I said, well, George Strait used to open shows for us, see, you know. And now he closes our shows. Yeah.
It's all good, though. I mean, 50 years. I mean, you're doing a lot of shows every year, though, right? I mean,
we do 130 to 150 shows a year, and
wow.
And we do everything from, like I say, we just played for 40,000 people with George, and we'll be out here with Old Crow Medicine Show going up the coast, and we do our own shows. We'll be in Sturgis this year at the great big motorcycle rally up in Sturgis. And then we also do the Texas Dance Hall series, which is we go to these old Texas dance halls and take just dancers with us, because we do so many concerts where you can't dance, and this music, if you know how to dance. And as we say in the band, fellas, if you dance, you got a chance. So
that's the truth. It's true. Do you have a favorite place to play? And you too. Where have you enjoyed playing with the group?
Favorite places? Go, girl. I don't know.
Out on the road, we've definitely got some little spots that we love. But as far as a hometown gig, I really like Green Hall and the Broken Spoke, and it's so nice when we don't play in Texas very much. So. It's really nice to play those hometown gigs.
Yeah, those are, Green Hall's a 100-year-old dance hall that's been there, and George Strait used to open the show for us there back in the 70s. But these are great old places, and dancing's a real tradition, you know, obviously.
So here's a genre of music. I mean, you're not straight up country. I mean, are there other acts that you're aware of, and how many are these other acts like that are playing that are, you know, the kind of music that you're playing and that have been inspired by Asleep at the Wheel?
Oh yeah. I don't know if they've been inspired, but there's dozens and dozens.
Yeah.
You know, the old the Hot Club of Cowtown,
Carolyn Sills bands.
There's dozens of regional bands. Out in Hollywood, the Hollywood Stars, they're a wonderful band, all kinds of bands.
And it's funny because our piano player Connor and Josh, our bass player, and our other fiddle player Dennis, we all kind of got to Austin about the same time, more or less. and played a lot of these tunes, not necessarily in one band, but in different configurations. That's the great thing about Austin. Everybody just plays together, if who is ever is in town. But we all grew up playing these tunes, and I think it's just amazing to me. Like the first time we played in this part of the world, I was floored at how many people love Western swing, because it's such a Southern and kind of Texas thing that I always grew up with, and I love that. It's just the music resonates with people across the world, much less, different parts of the United States. It's really fun to see.
Sure. Over the years, I mean, we talked about like people kind of being inspired by you and you inspiring others. I hear there's a story about Van Morrison mentioning your band in a Rolling Stone interview that was kind of instrumental in some of getting a record deal, right?
Well, it was when we moved to California to get a record deal, obviously. It was the 72 or 71. And anyway, Van heard us and mentioned us in Rolling Stone, mentioned us in Clover. That was Huey Lewis and John McPhee's band. And there was a big scene going around there, like the Doobies. Some of it was country rock. We were more Western and country Western. And Van liked it and mentioned to us, and back then, of course, that meant a lot. Then many years later, Van called me up. This is about 20 years ago, and he took my old steel player, Cindy Cash Dollar, and Jason, my old fiddle player. I lent it to Van for a couple of tours when he was doing. So, it's a small world of musicians sometimes, and the folks that we've worked with have been everything from Garth Brooks to Willie Nelson, to George Strait, to Amos Lee, who you heard earlier, one of the great singers. I could go on for a while telling you who we've worked with. But the Manhattan Transfer, one of the great records we made. But as we all like to say, there's just 12 notes, and we all just arrange them a little different.
Luckily for you, it's been working out for this many years.
Been working out great. And, we have a lot of projects. We just did a thing with Jake Shimabukuro, the great ukulele player, and we sang on his new record, and I'm producing, and along with Michael McDonald and Willie Nelson, and a bunch more to come. So we love collaborating, and that's also the reason, because that's the MO of Willie that taught me. He says, if I get a chance to play with somebody who I admire as a musician, I'm going there.
Yeah. Is there someone you haven't performed with that you'd like to?
Tony Bennett.
Yeah.
Tony, can you hear me?
Yeah, definitely.
If you're watching, you're available and ready to play.
Yeah, that's an easy answer for me.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I would definitely sing and play with Tony.
Yeah, big fan, obviously.
I love Madeline Peru as kind of a modern singer.
Yeah, great one.
Yeah, it's like
in
jazzy
I would love to, play with her.
Back to the album, there are a couple like classics on here as well, like 7 Nights to Rock, right?
I'd been doing that for 45 years. It's old Moon Mullican tune, but a lot of folks have done it. I've seen Dave Edmunds, I think, had a record on it. A lot of folks have covered it because it's a great song. I think we had a great idea on a version that we wanted, and it involved our singing, and live it just kicks butt. It just and in dancers, it's amazing. We saw the other day how all those the Lindy Hoppers and it was really cool. It's for a band to watch great dancers is also half the fun.
Oh yeah, I mean I've seen that live. I think Springsteen throws it into his set.
Yeah,
like,
that's
a lot,
right. What's his name? Oh, Bruce.
Oh, Bruce. Yeah. Oh, him.
Yeah.
The other boss.
Yeah, that's right. Like I say, it's a standard. It's a wonderful thing, and we just had our own version of it we thought would work, and it certainly has.
Was it hard to narrow down the songs you wanted to record for this album? After it's been 10 years since a full kind of.
How many did we record?
We recorded
20. I think we recorded 23
all right.
songs. I have a studio, and so we didn't have to worry about paying me for the studio. So we just would go in when we were off, and we went deep. We just I said, bring anything, and we'll record it and see what it sounds like.
And this is the result. Yeah, I love it.
This was great.
You mentioned like having your own studio these days. I mean, obviously the industry has changed quite a bit since you got your start. I mean, what do you think about the industry right now and where it stands? I mean, just as a whole.
It's transition. It's transition time. The good thing for Asleep at the Wheel is that we always made our living and most of our money playing shows. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always made records, always did all of that, but playing shows was about, and I think the public's desire for live music is as great as it ever was. It's just, nobody's buying CDs, we're still putting out vinyl records, and people are buying more vinyl records, but it's just different. You got streaming services, you got all this. You're going to listen to music in different ways, but more people are listening to more music every day.
Right.
And we just have to figure out how to make a living doing it. It's always been the same. How do you make a living out of something that everybody would love to do if they had the talent? And so anyway, no, as far as, I can complain about a lot of things, but the bottom line is that we're making music, and people are coming to see music, and that's what's important.
What do you hope the legacy of Asleep at the Wheel is down the line?
That we never killed anybody. And never had it. Oh, no. In our people have died in our performances.
Try to kill us, lay people.
No, I don't know. Just to be remembered would be the greatest thing there is, and certainly that we have to be able to bring this music over 50 years into kids like this.
I just have one thing to say. There was a recording of Bob Wills saying, one of these days, a man with a golden voice is going to come along, a boy with a golden voice, and play this music, and that's Ray Benson to a T. So
that is so satisfying, because I feel like, people say, well, you were born in Philadelphia. How could you do this? I said, well, it was the same thing that like the Rolling Stones and the British groups did for great blues music and everything. It's what's in your heart and your soul that enables you to play, and so this music really touched me, and the fact that it was that you were able to bring new life to it is something. The old guys would come see us, and it was so touching. Have guys, 70, 80 years old, say, our music was forgotten, and you brought it to a new audience. That was felt great. But it's my pleasure, because it's just fun to play.
Yeah. It seems like it means so much to you. I could see it in your eyes, just talking about it. And you too, just having, being a newcomer at least to this band and everything. It's really, really, really special.
Yeah, and it come from all over. We have people from England, people from Scandinavia played this music, people from Japan. I mean, it's musicians that want to do it, come to it because they like doing it, and they have the ability to do it. So well, thank you for that. We certainly also want to have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the nature of your music, though. Totally. It's just fun. If you guys have seen these guys live, it's just a good time. It's a good time. They're actually playing tomorrow night, Central Park Summer Stage here in New York City. So I think tickets are still available for that show. You can get them. On the side though, you've been a voiceover person. Do you still do some of that?
Yeah.
You was like the This Buds For You guy, I heard.
Yeah,
right?
I did.
If you remember from the 80s, the commercial, right?
I did the Budweiser. I can't remember all the stuff I've done. But talking for a living is great. Billy Vera is a good friend of mine, does a lot of that. But no, I haven't recently done it. Yeah,
commercial?
Yeah, I did commercials and some film voiceover. What I really want to do is do animated stuff, but nobody's called, and we're just so busy. We'd get calls and they say, well, you come, I said, no, I got 6 shows in British Columbia.
Yeah, like if I could fit it in. These days you can maybe even record it if you don't even have to go into a studio. If you have time, you can even record it.
We can do it at the motel room. We've done that, and I've done that. It's nice to be able to. Around Austin, I get recognized more for my voice than if I don't wear a cowboy hat and everything.
Mind you, he's sitting down, but he's like, what are you, 6'7"? You're pretty tall.
You got it. Guess your height and weight here at the county fair. 6'7".
What do I get? What's my prize?
Yeah, you got a Cupid doll. It's being big and looking like I do. I guess people remember me, but it's funny. But my name's Ray, and I have a guitar strap that says Ray on it, and I would do the Letterman show where they would let Paul Schaefer go and sit in with Paul Schaefer, and every time Dave would holler out my name. I could never figure out, wow, he remembers my name. He says, hey, stupid, it's on your strap right there.
Easy enough. Well, you've performed for so many people. You've performed for almost every recent president that we've had, too, right?
Until this one.
Until this one. If Trump called you, though, to perform, what would be your answer?
I think I'm booked that day.
Okay, right on. But in the past, though, it must have been a pretty good honor.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just starting with, Clinton, I guess. I played every inauguration until, Clinton 1, 2, Bush 1, 2.
Obama, too, right?
Obama, both, yeah. Obama sang with us.
Amazing. What was that like?
Well, he was in Austin, and we were early in the campaign when he was still getting the nomination, and they asked if we'd do a benefit. I said, yeah, me and Joe Ely, we pulled together, and we were doing my song, Boogie Back to Texas, and it has a call and answer line, and I said, Brock, come on, do this. And he went to college with our old bass player and our current drummer at Occidental. So one of them knew him. Dave didn't know him, but they were there at the same time. So he was very friendly, and he's not a great singer, but he was enthusiastic.
Hey, that's all that matters. He got the stage presence going.
And we played at the White House for George W. because Laura is a friend of mine, and we live in Austin, and so we played the White House. We were actually scheduled to play the White House on 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we were sitting in a hotel across there when the whole thing went down. And, it was a rather surreal moment for everybody, obviously. But we were right there. And then Laura said, 2 years later, she said, we really want to reschedule this concert. So we did. We played at the White House lawn, we knew George because he was the governor and live in Austin, which is the capital, But, we know, in Clinton, we played for him up in Arkansas, and, it's, I'd have never thought that, in my young life that I would get to entertain presidents, whether I voted for them or not, but.
Unbelievable. Wow, what an honor. Okay, well, we have some audience questions, so hang tight.
Really?
So let's get it started. Who's first? Oh, we got it right here.
I'm wondering what the greatest challenges are of sustaining such a long career.
What the greatest challenges are is getting people to keep showing up. It's and the way you do that is to do something that reaches a larger audience than you had. Back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was get a hit record on radio. And then in years 2000s, all of a sudden there's videos and obviously before 2000, but videos and the thing. And now it's there. So you have to find that way to reach everybody that is going to be interested in your kind of music or whatever it is you do. And it's a hat trick, believe me. Some of the greatest singers, players, songwriters, everything have not been able to figure that out. That's part of the puzzle that is the hardest, because there's no school to go to. There's no one way to do it. There's 100 ways to do it. But that's how I guess we stumbled through this 48 years. Hire great musicians.
That's the secret, right?
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Hi. So you were talking about the different bands you used to play with back in the day, and one of them that got to me was Huey Lewis, because coincidentally I've been listening to his music recently, and I wanted to know, what was your most memorable moment performing with him?
Performing with Huey? Oh gosh, we had so many. Well, first of all, let me explain. Met Huey when he was in a band called Clover. That was with John McPhee, who has been with the Doobie Brothers since then, and John. They were an incredible band, and I'm talking the early days. Okay, this is 1971, and they had a gig up in San Anselmo on Monday, and we had down in Berkeley on Tuesday, and so we would switch $1, and you get a free beer when you come in. So you can imagine that we were always very hungry. And Huey at the time had a route that he would deliver yogurt to the Marin County people, and that's how he made a living. So he had some extra ones, and he walked in and we said, "What's your name?" He said, "Huey." I said, "Hey, nice to meet you. We're going to open the show." He says, "Hey, y'all hungry?" He said, "Yeah, we're hungry." He says, "Hey, you want some yogurt?" "Yeah, man." I know that doesn't sound as exciting, but when you're hungry, it was very exciting. But in terms of recording and stuff, gosh, we did a record with him which is just about to come out. And Huey's been having real problems. He can't sing now. He's got Meniere's disease, so he can't perform anymore. We did a record with him of a Roger Miller tune. This is about 2 years ago, and it's just coming out. And that was the greatest, because he's a great rock and roll singer, a great R&B singer, a great blues harmonica player, but he also loves country music, and we did a great Roger Miller song with him.
Oh, awesome. I'll have to check that out. All right, who's next?
Hi. So you guys were talking about writing with your songs. I'm wondering more about your writing process. Do you write together as a group, or do you individually write and then bring it to each other?
Well, Katie and I write together, and
Yeah.
how do we do that?
It started with Ray had a
I had a line.
phrase, call it a day. I guess I'll call it a day tonight. And I had a melody, and then we just went back and forth and talked about verses and choruses, and
we were
somehow
stuck.
we came up with this song. But
We were stuck, and I was fooling around. I went, oh, okay, got it. I got the melody, and I sent it to her. The great thing now is that we don't have to be in the same room. We just text it or sing it and send it.
It worked out.
It's
Little
really
voice
changed. I mean,
memos
you used to have to literally be there, I'm trying to remember if we ever did the long-distance songwriting before, but no. And so anyway, so then I went, oh, I got the words, and then she finished it up. And I wish we had more time, because that's about songwriting. You just got to, that's why the songwriting is such a strange, when you tell somebody, oh, I'm a songwriter, what do you do? I sit there and I wait for the dang thing to happen.
it's really hard to write a song anyway. And for me personally, I write more by myself, shut out from the world and just in my own head. But it's really hard to find a good partner to write with. And it ended up working really well for us. So
Absolutely.
At least we got 1.5 or 2 in the bag.
Yeah, and performing takes all of it. I mean, we're here, obviously, it takes your whole day up just getting ready. I've co-written with a lot of people, and it's a personality thing. I've written with Dolly Parton, with Willie Nelson, with Guy Clark, with all kinds of great guys. It's just, it's a magical process. Every songwriter will tell you, how do you do this? I don't know. That's the standard answer, because you don't. You just sit there, and some guys, like Harlan Howard, one of the greatest of all times, he would go into the office from 9 o'clock in the morning until 2 and write. He said sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad, but they were always there, and then he would go drinking the rest of the time, because that's where he got his ideas. He would go out and he said, and his wife would bug him and say, well, why don't you go to these industry functions with the head of CBS Records? And he says, because they haven't got any stories that I'm going to write songs about, And then on the other side of the coin, as Katie said, man, sometimes I'm just sitting there, and the worst thing for me is most of my song ideas come when I'm driving.
True.
It's hard to write them down at that point.
Yeah, and so you grab your iPhone and go.
Totally.
Thankfully, that saved my life, because I used to scribble the stuff down, and then when and I've got boxes of scribbles.
Well, luckily for us, you have enough to fill a whole new album, which we're very excited about. The new album's out September 14th. Thank you so much, Ray and Kate, for
having us.
coming by today. It was so great. Give it up one more time and Sleep at the Wheel.